Okay. What's up? What's up? Welcome to the Real Man Talk Show.
Mike.
Hello, hello, hello. What's up, gentlemen? What's up? What's up?
What's going on today?
Hey, nothing much. Welcome to everybody that's joining the Real Man Talk Show, where we talk about problems and solutions. And today we got an amazing show because tonight we're going to be talking about what can we do to empower the Black family. I got a couple special guests that's going to be on the show tonight. I'll introduce them up shortly, but we're going to be talking about what can we do. And gentlemen, as y'all been watching in the news, there's a lot of things that's been going on. But one thing I think we all can agree upon because we talked about in the past, that the Black family and the nucleus is not there the way it used to be. And we need to figure out what can we do to bring that back, because the typical traditional Black family household is completely different than what it was probably about 30, 40 years ago. It's too much, don't see two-parent households. We don't have the income level has still been stagnant, if not probably been even more decreased. And just many other factors that's pretty much pulling the Black family together and becoming more divisive. So I want to talk about this segment tonight, and it's one of my favorite segments because I get to bring the women on, our queens, and I always love to hear their insight on it. So before we dive in there, I want to ask you all, what is your general opinion, general consensus from your standpoint? Brother Shaw.
Okay, well, for me, I think the biggest thing to bring the Black families back together, the brothers have got to stop being aggressive and combative toward each other. Because if we are not able to love each other and form a partnership amongst ourselves, how can we, first of all, protect our families and protect our communities? So it starts with us. The women have always been there. They want to make the families. They want to be willing partners and build something. It's time for the brothers to change their perspective. Quit trying to be the player and the hoe and get you one woman and treat her like the queen she is and raise those kids. Be productive in your own community. Don't worry about the next pair of Jordans. Go get your kid a college fund. Find them a college program that you can start putting money in to start building on that college fund. To me, that's the biggest emphasis right there.
Okay. I would say I would somewhat disagree because I think college, man, I think as far as education, I think we're pretty much at that threshold where education I don't think is an issue because we have access to education.
And it's not necessarily about the whole access to education. Start that college plan. And if we want to get into it, there are some accounts that you can open up in brokerage firms that you can build a policy for this individual child. Once they become of age, even if they don't go to college, they now have several thousands of dollars that they can do what they like with, invest in a business, buy their first home. things of that nature. Start your kids off with something more than debt. And when you're 18, get out my house because you ain't got nothing to do, because you're grown. It doesn't necessarily have to be a college fund for college, but start a fund for your child. So when they become of age, they're not cast out with nothing, which is another issue in the Black community that we need to address at another time.
I agree. I agree. Um, I slightly disagree with the education, man, because education has been, and this is just my personal opinion, it's pretty much been a whitewash to a certain extent. We have pushed education, and once again, we're seeing there's a lot of people leaving with bachelor's and master's degree that still can't get suitable employment. So I think
Yeah.
it's a different conversation to far as education. We need to probably steer them towards um, a field that's going to be paying something as far as education. I think we've been hoodwinked when it comes to this education. That's just me personally speaking, as well as just going to school and coming out and having challenges trying to find employment.
And
And
I totally agree with you on that, brother. It doesn't have to be a college fund, but so many of our children, when we in the Black community have a idea, when a child turns 18, they have to get out and make it on their own, just like we did. And we're the only race of people that pushes our children out. Any other race you look at, they make sure that child can stay up until some of them 30, 35. But when that child leaves their home, that child is set in a way they will not fail. And we need to start doing that too.
okay. Mr. Cass, what's your opinion?
Yeah, man, that's a hard one, man. I thought about that a while, and I think I believe it starts like with Brother Sean, man. I think it starts with the man. I think we had to do what we need to do is work on ourselves first. Well, not first, but we got to really work on ourselves. There's so many things that we got to do so that we love ourselves, man. I remember growing up, man. I didn't even like myself growing up, man. So I I know a lot of men that kind of felt the exact same way. So if I don't like myself, if I don't love myself, man, there's really no possible way that I'm able to love a woman, man. It's just not impossible. So I think men really gotta work on themselves and kind of look for something more than just this quick thing or all the just getting at a lot of women. We gotta become more emotionally mature and not want to be sleep with every woman. At some point, men gotta just pick one woman, like Sean said, pick the right woman. But he can only pick the right woman if he's right himself. So I know so many people, guys, they get married and it's not the right one because they're broken, they're emotionally immature, they're lacking in so many areas. So they more than likely, most people they pick a woman, a mate that is equal to their dysfunction. So what I mean by that is, if I am dysfunctional in this area, whatever this area may be, I'm going to find somebody that complements that same dysfunction. And then now we join together, and what we really got together isn't love, it's dysfunction. So it's going to fail. Most people don't get married for the right reasons, and I think a lot of men don't, especially our men, don't know how to pick a good woman. We don't know what it takes to be married. We never been taught that these are the things that you need to do to stay married. And so when we get married, a lot of men get married, they kind of lost. They just struggling, like, they want to do the right thing, but they don't know how to control their urges. They don't know how to treat the woman. They don't know what the woman's role is. They don't know what their role is. So you got two people that's joined together, and one, they're dysfunctional. Two, they don't even know what they should be doing. So it just kind of falls down. So what's needed, I think, is mentorship. Where brothers go and link up with some older men that's been married for 30, 40 years and get that mentorship, get that guidance to learn, hey man, you didn't do this and don't do that, instead of being our own self and just doing it the wrong way. So mentorship, self-love, and being responsible. I think those are some of the things, man.
I would say you said a mouthful, and I agree with you on that. And that's the purpose of the Men Talk Show for us men, once again, to come together and talk about things. And one thing me and Mr. Cowles and Brother Sean realizes a lot of men just don't have outlets and don't have people to talk to things about. And we always trying to reinvent the wheel. And sometimes that wheel is not invented the right way. It just causes destruction. So this is the purpose of the Real Man Talk. For you all that's watching on Facebook, you can go to the YouTube channel, The Real Man Talk, where you can get the full form, where you can see all three of us. I'm streaming from my phone, but we also got it on YouTube. That leads me to the next topic, not next topic, but the next guest I'm about to bring on. Um, Met this next guest actually through, it's crazy how the universes work, because I actually met her through Dr. Boyce, but it was through Dr. Boyce, through Andre, um, Brother Andre. And since then, her and I pretty much have developed a relationship that we stay in contact, but have a lot of respect and admiration for the sister I'm bringing up. Um, Realtor, she's a pharmacist as well as a doctor, and one of the youngest people inside of Xavier. And I'll let her tell you about her background. They graduated, and as Sean and you both stated, her and her husband have been married for quite some time, and she has a lot of things when it comes to just bringing the black family together as well as economics. So no other, I want to bring up Dr. Prevost. Dr. Prevost, are you there? Hey, hey, hey. Okay. Dr. Prevost, hello, how you doing?
Good. How y'all doing today?
Good. Thank you for taking that time to join us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Now, Dr. Prevost, you have a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience, and you and I talk about things in regards to trying to help the black family, black household. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and tell us what's your opinion that you see the black family, and what is some things that we possibly can do to mend that gap.
Okay, well, about myself, again, my name is Kendra Prevost. I went got my degree, my doctorate of pharmacy degree from Xavier University. So I started from high school straight to college, and I actually met my husband in college. So we graduated together from pharmacy school from Xavier, and then we together moved to Dallas, where we are now. And we've been married 20 years next year, 21, so 19 years.
Wow, good job.
Yeah, so we have 2 children together, 16 and 13. And as far as the black family is concerned, what I find personally, when I went to college, a lot of my classmates in school, because I went to HBCU, we end up finding our mate in college. And almost all of us, I think except for one, are still married. All of us are still with the person that we went to college with. So to me personally, I didn't have to go through all that stories people hear about as far as like dealing with a man, having different women and all this. You know, pretty much a lot of us, we started out with one guy and we went to college, and then that's the person we've been with. So I don't even know anything about the state of black marriage. I don't even know, because most of us have been on the same path.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Also talk about a little bit about Xavier, the experience with you going to Xavier, how Xavier has been so beneficial, as well as the doctoral program that you was in.
Okay, so at Xavier, it's a 6-year program, and you graduate with a doctorate of pharmacy, right? And all my friends that I went to school at Xavier is #1 in sending African Americans to medical school. So one thing you pointed out, and I was listening to you all talk about getting an education, getting a college education. And one point you made was it's not about getting money, because we can get money to go to college. It's about picking the right major. That is #1. I tell my kids all the time, if you're not gonna go to school to make money, you don't even need to waste time to go to school. If you're gonna go to school and make $50,000 a year, it's not worth the investment.
Exactly.
It costs too much money to go to school to waste money and get out of school and make $50,000 a year. It's not even worth it, you know? So that's the #1 thing. I tell my kids all the time that if you can't make 6 figures out of your college education, it's really not worth it, you know? So in order to make 6 figures in your college education, you have to go higher. You can't stop at a bachelor's. And when I say that, you have to pick which degree you want to get. So for me, medicine and the medical industry is very profitable because it's hard to discriminate when you have a license. No, so when I came out of school, I had a doctorate of pharmacy. So my first W-2 was 6 figures. That was in 1999. So I've been making 6 figures since 1999 when I graduated. That's the first W-2 I got when I graduated. Wow. Okay, so what I'm saying is that if you've been making that much that long, I've been a pharmacist 20 years. You see how that helps you as far as the Black family. If you got 2 people on the same path doing that for 20 years, you can't replace that. So that's what I'm saying. I agree with you. You have to major in the right degree to get the money. That's the whole purpose of college.
Right. Amazing. Also in your doctoral program, tell me, and we're gonna still get to the Black family, but I'm just impressed in regards to your going through doctoral program. Tell us a little bit the doctoral program, how many people as far as Black women, Black men, and how have those relationships helped you 20 years later by going to Xavier as well as that program?
Oh yeah, I mean, like I say, Xavier is #1 producing all doctorates in pharmacy and medicine. So like all my friends are pretty much pharmacists and doctors. So like one of my very good friends, you know, all my major friends, all the friends that I talk to every day, have been very successful as far as in life as far as professionally. So my friends consist of mostly like surgeons, doctors, lawyers, dentists, podiatrists, pharmacists. So it's just a different connection. You know what I'm saying? You live life differently when you're not struggling from check to check, So it's a good networking thing. We help each other out. If I need something, and the one thing about going to HBCU is that it connects people from all over the country. So I can go anywhere in the country, and if I need something, I can just call somebody up and say, hey, I'm in town, you might stay with them, or they might connect you with another person. So those friendships last forever, and they actually mean something because these people, are very successful in life.
Right. And I remember you and I, we had a conversation because I had a minor issue, and you was able to help me with that minor issue.
Oh yeah.
But if you would, I would love for you to talk about that, because once you enlighten me about the traditions of the HBCUs, and I talked to other people that went to HBCUs, they told me the same exact thing. But you pretty much gave me the reasoning behind that, as well as some other things. You care to even talk about that?
Okay, yeah. So the issue with you and your daughter, you were kind of struggling because you kind of didn't feel like you were getting quality service from the HBCU as far as return phone calls and feedback. And what I tell people all the time, the HBCU is known for having horrible customer service. Okay, that's not their department. The people that work there, they were passed down jobs. So no matter what HBCU, you're gonna always complain about the service. It's horrible, okay? But you have to get past that, because the purpose of you going there is your education. It's not those people that sit in the office. So when you had an issue, turns out it was with Texas Southern. My very good friend, almost like my best friend, my line sister, is the dean of communications over there. So when you told me you had an issue, I reached out to her. She's very well connected. Like I said, she's a dean of a whole department. She told me exactly what to do, and I was able to help you. And I'm here in Dallas. I'm not even in Houston. Right. So when I say we have connections, we have connections. I'm gonna give you another example. My daughter's friend's father needs a kidney transplant. And he has been suffering for a long time. And I did not know that he had been on the list for like 4 or 5 years. One of my other best friends is a kidney transplant surgeon, okay? So once I found out that he had trouble getting on, because it's a whole lot of, let me tell you something, this kidney transplant list, don't think that they just going down the list. Okay, there's a lot of racism in that list, okay? Yeah. Yes. So like I said, one of my line sisters is the kidney transplant surgeon. He's been waiting on the kidney for 4 years. I connected them to, he's having a meeting to talk about his transplant like this month. I just told her about it maybe 2 months ago. And I connected my friend who's the surgeon with her. He's gonna probably get transplanted this year. The only thing that stopped him is the coronavirus.
Wow.
So that's the kind of connections you will have, if you know the right people. That's the kind of stuff.
And I'm glad you shared that, Dr. Prevost, because we got people on there who may be considering sending their kids to HBCUs, and these are some of the horror stories that's been told. But once again, you're telling us also benefits
Yes.
going to HBCU, and I think we're realizing that because a lot of Caucasian, Indian, Asian, all of them are now flooding the HBCUs, and because they're qualifying for these minority scholarships, they're slowly pushing our kids out.
That's true. And we're not applying. We're not applying to them either. Black people, for some reason, feel like you're going to do better going to go into a predominantly white institution. And I don't really understand it, because think about this. When employers are looking for, okay, when we got a job, when we graduated from school, all of us graduated from school with a job. Right. Let me just tell you this. A lot of people don't understand that. Employers come to HBCUs to find employees that are Black. That's where they go first. They're not going to a white institution to look for a Black employee. So when we graduated, all of us graduated with a job. What I've seen is a lot of people that graduated from white schools, Texas, wherever school in Texas, right? They have to go out and find their own job. I never found my own job. When I graduated from school, the employers came to the school. They all had a job fair just for us, and they offered me a job while I was in school.
Wow.
That's what they do.
Wow. Dr. Prevost, I definitely want to bring you up next time to talk about education. We'll go back and talk about that because you said something earlier. You said a lot of us is not applying. And I can tell you, I'm part of an organization called the Houston Breakfast Club, where we give out scholarships to graduating seniors that's going to college. We can't even get kids to even apply for the application. And we're giving away a $500 scholarship every semester. $500 is probably not a lot, but I know it will help a lot of kids. And we follow these kids up to graduation. One, people are not applying for. Two, most of them can't even maintain a 2.5. And all you need is a 2.5, and you can pretty much get $500 until you graduate. So we're going to talk about that. That's another one we go talk about in regards to getting our kids in education. But as far as back to the Black family household, and those that's joining us, thank you for joining us. I'm here with Dr. Prevost, Matt Cowles, and Sean Davis, and we're talking about what can we do to improve the Black family as well as the Black household. And Dr. Prevost was pretty much talking about the benefits and some of the disadvantages of the HBCUs as well as education. We also talked about, as the brother stated, is things that we as men have to do. And once again, this is part of the Real Man Talk. We want to bring men together, but this is my favorite segment where we bring the queens on and we have King and Queen Talk. I'm gonna get back to Dr. Prevost, but I want to bring up our next guest, which is out of Oklahoma City. She's an activist up there, and she's big into the education, as well as, matter of fact, had some issues with her daughter in regards to the high school up there. And the thing in Oklahoma City, as well as going across the country, they're pretty much trying to take away public education. Public education is starting to become almost like mini prisons. So I'm gonna bring up my guest, no other than LaVonna Fine Wine. Fana, what's up? What's up? Are you there with us?
Yes, I'm here. Hello.
How you doing there?
I'm doing good.
Good.
To avoid this Rona.
I heard you, all of us. Vaughn, I definitely love what you do up there because you're a big activist with your family as well as with your daughter when you come to high school. Tell us a little bit about some of the challenges you see in regards to education. What can we do as the Black men, as Black family, to bring the family back together again?
I think it's not only the men, it's the women too. They got to know what they're looking for. I think that when you go into a relationship or before you get married, you got to understand each other's background and where you. I have a lot of issues within my own relationship, with my husband, just because of where he came from. He didn't grow up like I grew up. So a lot of my expectations, he don't understand, or he don't get it, or, it's attitude, and I think that was what I missed before I got married. Just understanding where he came from and his history and his background. I think that, a lot of the families that I deal with or I've seen, they're not getting married for the right reasons. They're just getting married just because they think that's going to keep each other. But then they still doing what they want to do on the side. I think as far as marriage, you need to be with other married couples that are positive, you know, and have good relationships. And like Sean, I can't remember if it was Sean, one of them mentioned mentor. You know, maybe another married couple can be a mentor for you. And just try to stay around positive people. As far as the school, my daughter is in middle school. That's the middle school I was having.
I'm sorry. Okay. Well, you was actually speaking up for some of the other kids in regards to the high school in that area, then, right?
No,
John Marshall.
They have a John Marshall High School and they have a John Marshall Middle School now.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So goes to the two of my daughters go to school, and then I have a son that goes to the high school.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think just communication also plays a big role in it. You got to know how to communicate with each other. Know how to communicate with the kids, be, you know, positive with the kids. But I think the main thing is just being around other positive, you know, families or couples, and find somebody that you can talk to. Other people that's dealing with, you know, African-American families, I think that they need to understand our culture, you know, to with us, understand our culture and our history, ancestry and things like that. Because if you don't understand our culture, you can't help us. And that's how I look at it.
I agree. Okay. Now, Dr. Prevost, one thing I noticed in regards to you and your husband, y'all always grinding. As you said, you know, back in 1999, you was making six figures, but nobody, if they didn't know you, they wouldn't have no clue. But you still stay on the grind. And you and I met once again through continuing education because you were starting another business. And from that business, you already had, I think, one or two businesses. You started three more other businesses. Tell us, how do you and your husband do that, and what drives you all to keep striving and pushing?
Well, when we graduated from school, I knew that I had a 20-year plan of just doing pharmacy. We had decided when we graduated, we got 20 years to stack our money and be able to have something that we can rely on if we didn't work anymore. Okay, so that was from day one. So day one. And we started a lot of businesses before that. Before all of this, I became a realtor and all that. We were very successful in real estate as a real estate investor. You know, we were 26 years old with over $1 million worth of property. And right now, that same amount of property is probably worth about 4 or 5 million now, easily. So we 26-year-old, we had like 11 properties, you know, just doing whatever, you know. And then 2008 came and everything went down. And actually our rentals were still renting out, but I just had my daughter and I just didn't feel like being bothered with it because I was doing everything myself. You know, I was still working full-time as a pharmacist. And from that point on, pretty much I say during the whole Obama presidency, we put all our money and focus into the stock market. And we've been very, very successful in the stock market. In fact, and I hate to say this even because it's Trump, I don't know, during this year, which he happens to be the president, we actually were able to accumulate 7 figures. So we are now officially, you know, millionaires. Okay.
Wow, congratulations.
So what I say is that we've always had that mindset. We've always known, and it's like right at the 20-year mark. I think 20-year mark of I had my license was actually last year. So we supposed to did it last year, but that was always our goal from day one. And I think that's a lot of problem with the Black community is we don't know how to, we know how to make money. I don't think we have a problem with making money, but we do have a problem with accumulation. Like you can't make the money and spend the money. You have to, some point in time, you have to save the money, even through investment, so that you can accumulate it and then it can be something, you know? So that's always been our goal.
Good, 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 good. Wow, that's amazing because listen to you. You told me you and your husband graduated from pretty much doctoral school, had a job coming out. Then you went into real estate. Didn't have to go into real estate, but y'all went to real estate anyway. Um, what has been some of the things that have pretty much made you all successful, as far as a family?
We talk about money a lot. And I think a lot of people don't talk about money as a couple. But me and my husband, we probably talk about money 3 or 4 times a day.
Oh wow.
Talk about investments, how our investments doing, what our goals are, what our future want to be like. We talk a lot about money. And another thing is that we both are on the same page about how important Black people, I personally feel we can't really be free until we can be able to have money. I don't understand why people don't want to have money. I mean, you can't be free unless you start stacking money. Until you can actually separate yourself from the system, from the man, you got to have money. So that's always been my idea is liberation, is freedom is in having financial freedom for me. I want my kids to be able to live, be able to pass down to my children. I want generational wealth to start with us. So we've always been very passionate about that, both of us. So like I said, that's about finding the right partner. My husband said when he was a little kid, his mom used to tease him because he used to walk around with a briefcase. They used to call him Donald Trump. We didn't know Donald Trump was who he is now back then, but so he used to do that. And he was always like that. I was always good with money. So, that's I guess we had in common. I don't know.
Interesting. I like to propose this question to Sean, Vanna, and Mac. Why is it that us as Black people have a problem talking about money? I'm gonna start with you, Vanna.
Oh, you said why does Black people have an issue with talking about money?
Right. Your opinion.
In families or just
And families in general. Your opinion.
I think for families because both people don't have the same goals as to what they want to do with it. They can't come to an agreement. Or you might have one person that got the attitude of you got one life to live, I'm gonna spend it how I want to spend it. And you got another person that might be, I want to save because I want to be able to provide things to my children. I want my kids to have things, when I'm gone. But I think it's because they don't be on the same page about what to do with it.
Good point. Good point. Brother Sean.
I think the biggest reason that a lot of Blacks do not discuss finances in general, we want to show what we have, even if it breaks us financially behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. So we want to put our money on Front Street and show the name brands, the big rims and all that, which we have to stop. But then it comes to the teachings of our parents, which we need to change with our kids. My mother never discussed anything about finances. If I came home one night and the lights was off, that's when I knew we was in trouble. So it's a generational thing. We now have to stop teaching our kids that not have the idea of what the finances are in the household. For couples, that's a big thing. I agree with Vanna said. A lot of couples want to have separate bank accounts, keep the money separate. You pay this bill, I pay this bill. You can build like that, but you cannot truly build until you form one partnership that builds together and has everything on the same page. Dr. Prevost is so correct what her and her husband are doing. Sitting down and discussing what is your money goals? What do you want to do? That's the best thing going right there because you can't build nothing if you're on a separate platform.
That's a good answer. Brother Mac. Your mic.
I'm sorry about that.
Okay.
I think one of the reasons that it is hard for us is that I don't think a lot of Black people really understand money and really understand that money is supposed to move a certain way. They don't understand that it's just not for buying things. So I think that we need to have conversations about what money really is. And then I think another reason, especially in my family in a way, a lot of people didn't have money. So it's kind of maybe a shame, maybe. Like, it kind of doesn't make sense to talk about money when I'm worried about the lights being turned on. And so it's like, man, I don't know. There's so many reasons, but I just think that we just got to understand how to use money and the purpose of money. And regardless of what we have, it's okay to start talking about money at any level of income. Even if you make $40,000 a year, $30,000 a year, it's still those conversations about having money, so that the more we talk about money, the more that we see money differently. We'll see money in different places. We'll see opportunities just because we talk about money more frequently. So it's just talking about it, man, and just understanding how it can help us. Not just to buy a house, not to buy clothes or rims, like Sean said. It's money is used to build legacy, not build today. So your job takes care of, your daily needs, but understanding money long term, like you said, they had a plan for a 20-year plan. Like, man, how many people that that have a 2-month plan? So, so they're gonna do well because they planned out. I know my parents, they was like, hey, it's month to month.
Yeah.
So it's like those conversations really wouldn't be had. So that's my thoughts on it.
I agree with all the comments y'all said. One thing that stuck out with me, I went to a real estate class back in 2000, I want to say 14 in California. And I never forget, it was a bunch of other people that didn't look like us that was there. But one thing I took away from that was they didn't have no problem talking about money. They didn't have no problem telling you how they got their money, what they're doing to get money. And I thought it was somewhat fascinating, but I realized when I get around different groups of people, money is never an issue for our subject wise. And sometimes I think us as a people, we're intimidated or prideful to even ask people about how they attain their money, how they're doing on their investments. And we sometimes, I don't think, take advantage of some of the opportunities. Um, One thing I learned from a lot of them, they don't mind sharing with you. Versus with us, as Sean stated, sometimes we'd rather show versus tell. And I think that's a pride thing, as well as some other underlying issues that we have as a people that's stopping us from progressing. And we got to get back to just networking with each other, shopping with each other, talking. That's one thing we don't do. We don't talk. We have so many resources amongst each other that we don't know who we connected with. We don't know who have what. We just don't talk about certain things. And I think that's
and a lot of people won't share that information with you or try to educate you on that in our culture just because they scared that you're gonna do better than them. It's a hating.
And I agree with you. It also depends on in the environment too, because the environment I grew up in, it was somewhat like that. But as you move away further, most of them would love to help you, but you still got some of them that's a little different. Go ahead, Dr. Prevost.
I'll say this. So when we reached our milestone, I think it was like January 8th. I think I remember the day this year. I sent a text to 5 of our closest couples, and I sent a screenshot of our accounts. Because sometimes people need to see it, because people might say, oh, you got that, whatever. So I sent a screenshot of the balances, okay? And I said, this is, we reached a milestone this year. And if you have any questions or if you want to know how to do it, we told them, hey, 5 of our closest couples, because one thing I said in the text was, I sent this out to people who I know are not haters. These are people that would be happy for us. You know what I'm saying? But if you want to know how we got there, reach out to us. Because I will tell you this, a lot of people thought that we saved our way to that number. But when I tell you, we started out with about $70,000 a piece. So it's about 150. And we did not add anything else to that. And we grew that to that number, okay? So this is all from interest to get to that number. So I wanted to show them how you can take money without adding to it and grow it to that. Because that's what it's about. It's about having your money work for you, not saving your way to that number,
And I agree with you, Dr. Prevost. I also would say one thing I noticed that we lack, and I think me and Brother Davis and Mac, we talk about that. Sometimes we don't like to spend the money on self-development. And sometimes I know it's hard, but I would tell you, I invested a lot of money myself going to different conferences and self-development. Once again, that's how me and Dr. Prevost met through Dr. Boyce, through somebody else. But sometimes we have to spend that little money just to get that knowledge. And from that knowledge, you can always take it back. And from there, you can do something with it. But we have to invest in ourselves. That's the biggest asset you can invest in is yourself and your family.
Well, brother, I can tell you this. I totally agree with you 100%. But so many of the people in our culture have been taught you worry about them bills first and then you pay yourself second. And that mentality has to change, because when you started investing in yourself, those opportunities and those doors opened up. So many of our culture are living paycheck to paycheck. So the idea of taking a bit of money that they need to pay their school fees with or buy their gas with and investing in themselves, a lot of people just don't have the fortitude to do that. And we have to, because if we don't, we're going to be in that cycle all over again, and it's just not going to stop.
Good answer, Sean. I'm glad you said fortitude, man, because I was in another real estate class, and it was bittersweet. The dude was giving out a lot of information, but he was pretty much talking about us as a people in a negative way. But some of the things he was saying, he was right. He said when it comes to getting my rent money, if they don't got my rent money, I don't give a damn. I'm putting them out because they have these $1,000 phone, they got these $100 shoes, they got these big rims, but they don't have my rent money. And it hit me because I'm like, God damn, that's sad, but it's the truth. So a lot of it is fortitude because we have the money for certain things, but we just chose to spend it differently.
That is true. Every time I'm getting ready to put a tenant out, I know I'm getting ready to put them out when they go and buy a new car. As soon as they paying the rent on time, they go buy a new car. I said, okay, they about to get evicted. It's the same scenario.
and it's sad. It's really sad because and I'm speaking from experience, you can take $50 to $200 that you would use to splurge to go invest in yourself. They probably would flip that money 3 and 4 different times. Easily.
Well, I look at one of the examples it just infuriates me when I see this with our culture. You got an $80,000 Escalade with $10,000 32-inch rims on your car, but you pulling up to an apartment a 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment that you renting. I don't understand that. You got $100,000 you invested in that vehicle. That's a home that you could have purchased, or a couple of rental properties that you could have. I don't understand that. When you have that mentality, you want to showboat, but you ain't building nothing. So we need to change that perspective of our ideal too. That Cadillac with those rims on it don't mean nothing, because when it comes down to it, that's depreciating value every day that you get into it, and you're never going to get your money back out of it. But you doing that to look good for all your friends and everybody in town. But when it comes to it, what really do you have?
Agree with you on that. We're going to take a minute break. I want to give attention to our sponsors. We got 2 sponsors. So give me 1 second, you all that's joining us. Gotta pay tribute to the sponsors. There we go, Stitch. Let me share my screen. Stitch, here we go. Okay, thank you all. That's Stitch who's sponsoring the show, as well as another company, Houston CBD, that provides CBD product. Oh, I guess the camera ain't picking at CBD products. Wow, I faded out in the background. Okay, as well as They got different salves, CBD products, tinctures, as well as elderberry syrup. Get your elderberry syrup, HoustonCBD.com. That's HoustonCBD.com. So back to the lecture and the discussion we're having with Dr. Prevost, as well as Matt Cowles, Vonna Fonwan, and Sean Davis. We're talking about how we can improve the Black family and what we can do in regards, instead of just talking about the issues that we know at hand, but talk about some of the solutions. And some of the solutions we have talked about so far has been education, bringing, as far as us men, stepping up and doing what we're supposed to be doing, bringing the family together, talking about money. We just discussed that we don't talk enough about money, as well as the last conversation we was talking about how is we don't spend our money wisely. You know, Sean made a good point in regards to spending money on things that's not even bringing value, such as rims on the Cadillac. As Dr. Prevost stated, some people go out and buy cars, and once they buy them cars, they're compromising their rent. And one thing I learned from that real estate class that was in, I remember the guy said, what did he say? And he was, once again, he was talking about Black people, but he was being very discreet about it. But he say, they buy what they want and ask for what they need. And I thought that was so profound, because I'm like, damn, yeah, you buying your Jordans, you're buying your phones, but you need a place to stay. And I think, once again, that's just the biggest issue. A lot of it is priority. A lot of it, I think, is self-esteem. A lot of it is pride. Me and Mr. Cowles, we talked about a lot of it. We have a lot of underlying issues within our community, and it starts from mental health, self-esteem. And until you get your mental health together, you will constantly be making certain decisions that's probably not the best decision. So that's some of the things that we talked about, and we want to, once again, try to do what we can to just bring our family and bring that nucleus back together again, because it's slowly, right before our eyes, is just pretty much just separating. Me and the guys, we talk quite often, you know, we want to leave a legacy for our family, but it's becoming harder and harder, because it's like the kids don't want it. You know, I was talking to my dad, you know, he's trying to leave a legacy, and I'm not his biological son, but views me that, but the things he's trying to leave for his biological son, he really can't leave it, because his son is not really, my brother's not doing what he's supposed to be doing. And I'm talking to a lot of other men, and we're finding that's the same thing. We're trying to leave something, but it's like the younger generation don't want it. So we got to figure out what we can do to bring the family back together. So that's what we're talking about. Mr. Cowles, in regards to what I just said, out of everything we talked about, what do you think we can do in regards to this? Or is it something different? Or is it something that we're missing? Is it something basic? Are we overthinking this? And you're muted too. And you're muted. There you go.
So man, I think that you're right, man. There's so many issues. There's so many underlying issues that contribute to everything. Is there an easy way or something that we miss? Probably. But I think having conversations like this to get the conversation going, maybe we can learn something about ourselves. I mean, that's a hard question to answer.
It is.
I know you're messing with me.
And I threw it out there because, once again, man, you're a therapist. And by you being a therapist as well as a military veteran, and matter of fact, you and I grew up in pretty much the same neighborhood, and we've seen some of the same issues. Some of these clients that you see, you realize it's usually a common denominator that's stopping them from progressing. So that's why I proposed that question to you.
Well, for a lot of people that I see, the common denominator is always themselves. It's always them. Wherever I go, I'm always there. So I got to make sure that I like myself. So a lot of issues is themselves. So.
And if I can chime in on that, just from personal experience, and I'm speaking of myself only, I did not start enjoying life, learning to be loved and learning to love properly until I decided that I was worth the effort and I was okay just as I was, broken as I was okay as I am, and decided I needed to change myself. And at that point, that's when my life took the turn for the better, and I'm in the place that I am now. I became comfortable with the idea. I am who I am. It ain't gonna change. I got a big nose, a small head, and it's gonna be me. And once I started understanding that there's nobody better than me for me than me, that's gonna love me better than me, life changed. And that's what I think so many of us have to do.
I agree. I agree. Ms. Vanna.
I think education. So educating other people, on finances, relationships, positive relationships, being a mentor, like I think Sean said. It might have been Mac. I can't remember which one of them talked about mentoring.
All right, now, no, good. Don't say we all look alike now.
But I think educating our peers and our friends and just the community is a big thing.
I agree. I would say, in regards to that, in regards to the mentor thing, I agree with you on that. Some people find it hard to believe me and Mac talk about this. I have a coach. I have a business coach. I have different mentors that I reach out to. Once again, I don't know every goddamn thing, and I don't try to act like I know everything. But there's certain things I just don't know, certain areas I just don't know, and that's where a mentor come in at. And once again, it's a sacrifice. I got to spend money for their services sometimes, but it pays off. It saves me a lot of time and a lot of mistakes. And once again, that goes back just investing in yourself. Sometimes I don't want to spend the money, but once again, I realize if I don't spend the money, it's probably going to take me 3 weeks to 2 years to figure a lot of these things out. So that's why it's so important to invest in yourself. In regards, I think it was Sean said when he started loving himself. I agree with you, brother. Once I left the military after serving more than 2 decades, and I never forget, I tell everybody, this would change my life, is when I watched Tariq Nasheed's Hidden Colors. When I watched Tariq Nasheed's Hidden Colors, I think that same year I went to the Million Man March, which was the 20th year anniversary. All that changed my mind. It made me love myself more, love my people more. It made me look at things completely different. And once you know yourself and you know where you come from, you look at things completely different. I'm still searching, still seeking. My ultimate goal is to go to Africa. I was supposed to be going this year because of COVID that has shut everything down. But because of that, it put me in contact with a lot of people. Within that time, I've met so many people from, Professor Smalls to the late Dr. Africa, Ashwa Kwesi, so many people that's into the movement that's helping us. You'd be surprised. We got a lot of Black people that's doing positive and doing great things. And I didn't have no clue until after learning about myself and learning about our people. It's a lot of things that's going on, but it goes back to just investing in yourself.
And then you have to get people to be receptive of it. A lot of people just won't take what you give them. It's just like they treat you like you don't know what you're talking about. So it's just getting people to be receptive and want to learn things and, want to hear your story on how you got to where you are. So.
Now, I would tell you, people that's not receptive, it's just not for them. And that's what I realize. You got to meet people where they at. And that's something I'm still trying to adjust with. It's not for everybody. It's just not for everybody.
And
but
I will say,
it's generational. It's hard to break that cycle too. So.
And Brother Sean, I'm going to let you speak a while ago in a minute. That's one of the things that's my goal. I've been trying to break many generational curses.
yes.
I'm the oldest male in my family. I'm only 43 years old. So when you look at that and you start looking at the tradition and the historical thing, that it makes sense to me because I understand why. But once you don't understand why, you become part of that process. So my goal has been to break generational curses. I've been one of the very first person to even graduate college, to even travel, to do a lot of things. And my goal has been to break those curses and hopefully have my kids do the same thing. But that goes back to an individual thing. If it's not for you, it's not for you. Brother Sean.
I'm simply going to say, when you say mentor, do understand that a mentorship does not mean it necessarily has to be someone so much older than you.
Right.
A mentorship is someone that can express value into your life by communication. And I will say this, me and Hightower have been friends for a number of years, and he is younger than me, but he has mentored me through a lot and dealt with a lot with me. So it doesn't necessarily, I want you to all understand who are listening. A mentor does not have to be someone older. It could be someone that is just willing to impart wisdom and time into your life.
Dr. Prevost, you got anything to add there? We got 4 minutes left, so I want to make sure we get some last minute things in before we close out.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. The main thing is it starts with you. Like I always think about Michael Jackson. He had songs that just mean so much, and he always say it starts with the family. It starts with you. We can always point out right here, but it's your responsibility to do that for your family. That's how you build a legacy. So we can look outside of our house, but we need to take care of what's inside the house. So I always looked at myself as being responsible for what happens. Now nobody else, I don't really care because my household's gonna be taken care of. So, and we all take care of what's in our house and we won't have any more problems. So that's all I have to say on that one.
I love it. In regards to that Michael Jackson, I want to say, man, a lot of people probably didn't pay attention, but Michael Jackson had a lot of meanings in a lot of them songs. He was trying to tell us decades ago what's going on. I'll never forget when he did that last album before they pretty much killed him. It was a lot of messages in that. And he's been telling us for years. And it's crazy when you look back on some of the things the artist was doing, they was telling us in their art. But sometimes we were just too entertained that we didn't see the message or hear the message.
And people wonder why I love Michael Jackson so much.
Michael Jackson said they don't really care about us. How many times?
Yeah. There you go. There you go. There you go. That's a powerful video, actually. Now, I don't know if that video. That video is very powerful. Because matter of fact, if I'm staying correctly, Michael was actually in a prison in one of them scenes talking about they don't care about us.
That's right.
He was.
That's right.
Yeah. He was talking about the food. Matter of fact, I'll never forget on the last that movie he did, and they had that dumpster come down. And pretty much the earth pretty much was gone because pretty much we killed the earth as humans, and that's pretty much what's going on right now. Yeah. Brother Sean, you got anything before we go out? We got 2 minutes left.
I just want to say, everybody continue to love yourself, try to strive for the best you can be, and just remember, what's happening today is always available to continue tomorrow, whether it's good or bad. It's your choice on how you handle it.
I agree. People on Facebook, I apologize. I wasn't getting to you all. I didn't see too many questions. I didn't see no questions at all, but I apologize. I was so engaged in the conversation, I forgot about you all, but thank you for joining. Once again, people that join, I would tell you, go to the Real Man Talk on YouTube, where you get to see the entire cast if you don't see them, because I'm streaming from my phone. You just get to see me. But I prefer for y'all to see the entire cast because they got some valuable information. Sister Vanna.
Oh, I thought I just gave my spiel.
Did you? Okay, I'm all over. Brother Mac.
I thought I gave my spiel too.
Okay. Anybody got any last words of wisdom?
Look, mine is peace, love, and soul, y'all.
I want to thank you all for tuning in, and once again, invest in yourself. Go back and look at the videos. We didn't give out a lot of things, but we gave out some valuable information that can help the family, that can help us. There's always conferences, there's always things, there's always free stuff going on online. Through Dr. Boris, Andre Hatchett, a lot of other people do a lot of things, you know. I would just say, take that time, invest. Matter of fact, Mac and I, we have things going on. We do coaching. You can always reach out to me. He does coaching and counseling. Dr. Prevost always got something going on with KP Real Estate, as well as the notary. You got all types of stuff going on. Tell us a little bit what else you got going on. I know you got the t-shirt line.
No, pretty much I'm a realtor. I'm still a pharmacist. I still work in a pharmacy, in a hospital pharmacy. I'm a clinical pharmacist. Do real estate, notary, real estate investor, stock investor. So that's pretty much it.
And if we could, I would love to bring you back up, because I know you and I talked a little bit offline. I want to get you back on if you have time to talk more about stock market and investing, because I talk to a lot of people, and a lot of our people are interested in the stock market, but I think they're intimidated by it. And I would love to get you on sometime, if you don't mind, even talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, till then, y'all, thank you for joining the Real Man Talk Show, where we talk about problems and solutions. Every Wednesday at 8 o'clock, this is what we do. And the second Wednesday is when we do what we call King and Queen Talk. And I love having the women on here because it brings a different energy and a different feeling. And just love having the women on here. So every second Wednesday, we do King and Queen Talk. So thank you for joining. Those that want to support, please go to the YouTube channel, like and subscribe. If you'd like to donate, please donate, because we do this for free. Everything from advertising to the banner, everything is free. Well, not free, but we take donations, but we pretty much come out of my pocket. So I want to thank you all for once again taking time away from your family, as well as from your schedule to even join the Man Talk and help me with this. So till then, hey, you all, thank you for joining. You all have a good time. Good night. Be safe for this COVID, and we see you next week.
Later.
Peace.
Everybody have a good evening.
Bye.